Hi, I'm Sarah Bargijan. Welcome to day 2 of our 5-day challenge for younger people doing yoga. This is going to be a class focusing on core strength and back strength. 20 minutes, not necessarily great fun, but do it because you will feel so good after this. Come into tabletop. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Click on the little red button below. Tabletop is when your wrists are underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. From here, bring your knees and your feet together. Now, draw your navel up in towards your spine and knit your lower ribs in, as if you were protecting yourself from someone poking or tickling you. Keep that and pick up your right leg. Push your right foot behind you. Keep your right leg more or less parallel to the floor, so you can look underneath your belly here and make sure that that's happening. Your toes are pointing down and your knee is pointing down. Elbows straight, really push the floor away from you. Bring that right knee down and do the same on the other side. So pick up the left leg, straighten it behind you, more or less parallel to the floor again. Have a quick check, then raise your head up. Try not to drop your head down. Keep your neck parallel to the floor as well as your back and that back leg. Knit the lower ribs and bring your left knee down. Now do it again on the right side. So squeeze your bottom, both sides, pick up the right leg, push the heel long, keep squeezing in the left buttock. Now transfer a little more weight onto your right hand and pick up your left arm and bring that beside your left ear, the elbow as straight as that back knee is straight. Knit the ribs in. Bring your hand down, bring your knee down, and do the same on the other side. So this is obviously really good back strengthening stuff. Left leg straight and strong. Put on weight on your left hand, pick up the right arm. Keep knitting in the lower ribs, keep raising your navel up towards your spine. Maybe that arm can come a little higher as well. Bring your arm down and bring your knees down. Now, move your knees back so that you then you bring your body into a straight line from your knees to your hips to your shoulders. So rather than being in tabletop with your knees under your hips, they're back. This is a low plank. Then from here, tuck your toes under and come into a high plank. So the knees down on the floor is going to be the option in all of the planks that we do over the next 15 or 20 minutes. We're going to do a few, not a lot. Grip the floor with your fingerprints. And again, make sure your head isn't dropping down, keep it up. Now knit the lower ribs. 3. Press down through the base of your index fingers. 2. 1. Now separate your feet a little bit more. Make sure your toes really are tucked under as you go back into downward facing dog. Arrange your dog so that your feet are about outer hip width apart, and that your hands are about your outer shoulder width apart, and your index fingers are pointing forwards. Hang your head. And then again, come forward into plank. Separate your feet nice and wide apart, a little bit wider. Keep both hands on the floor as you now bring both of your heels to the left. So the outer left heel's on the floor and the inner right heel's on the floor. Bring both heels up and go to the other side. Right heel on the floor, left inner heel, keep your hips high. Come back into a normal plank, and again, downward facing dog. Take a couple more breaths. And then come forward into plank. We're not going to hold this, don't worry. I know the wrists are starting to go here. Bring your knees to the floor and come all the way down. So your belly is on the floor. Bring your hands down by the sides of your body, palms down. Squeeze your legs so your kneecaps come off the floor. And pick up your legs and pick up your arms, pick up your shoulders, coming into locust pose. Turn your palms to face each other here and see if you can clap your hands a little closer to each other. That will strengthen your upper back that much more. And squeeze your feet a little closer to each other as if you're going to clap your feet together. 3, 2, 1. Now bring your hands by the sides of your ribs. Bring your feet down, tuck your toes under, go back to downward facing dog. Really knit the lower ribs and draw your navel up as you press back. Then bring your knees down to the floor and come onto your forearms. Bring your elbows down to the floor. And when you do this, bring your palms together. Press your shoulders towards your feet, away from your ears. And then walk your knees back so that again, you're coming into this plank position. Toes on the floor. Keep your knees down or pick your knees up and straighten your legs. 3, 2, 1. Bring your knees back down to the floor. Just check that your elbows are underneath your shoulders. They're not splayed to the edges of the mat. I'm going to do that one more time. Pick up your knees or keep your knees on the floor. Keep breathing deeply. 3, 2, keep your head up. 1, and come down. Downward facing dog again. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Lift up your knees and press back. Well done. Now come forward into plank again with your arms straight and walk your hands a little further towards the front of the mat. This will take the pressure off your wrists now. Separate your feet nice and wide apart, a good outer hip width apart. And again, bring both heels to the left. Keep your right hand on the floor, or we've got an option now to bring your right hand on your right hip. Make sure you press both of your shoulders towards your feet and pick your hips up. Keep your hand on your hip or bring your arm up. So you're coming into a variation of side plank here. Come to the other side. Look down, bring your right hand down if it isn't already. Pick up both heels and spin both heels over to the right side of your mat. Press both your shoulders towards your feet and see if you can even bring the inner elbow crease of that bottom arm turning away from you, turning towards the front of your mat. Bring your left hand down and go back to downward facing dog. Inhale back to plank, and we're not going to hold it. Bring your knees to the floor and come down all the way again. This time, slide your hands back a little bit more so they're beside your waist. Bring your feet closer together so they feel like they're almost touching, if not actually touching. And come into cobra, curl up. Keep pressing your legs towards each other. Squeeze your legs so your kneecaps come off the floor. And press your hands back. Raise your heart. Relax your face. Sometimes we do this with our eyebrows way up towards our hairline. Just let your face be soft. And come all the way down. Tuck your toes under and go back to downward facing dog. Well done. We're nearly there. I know that core and back work isn't the most exciting, but when you do it over and over again and you get stronger, it feels so good. And it really helps the rest of your yoga practice and any other physical exercise, including just sitting. Having a strong core is really needed to sit well, to keep your spine supported and keep your posture good. Come forward into plank again. Bring your knees down to the floor. Now we're going to help the wrists a bit here and give them a break. So bring your elbows down and again palms touch. Now, press your shoulders towards your feet, tuck your toes under, pick your knees up, so you're coming back into this forearm plank shape. Option to stay like this, or coming into the side plank shape. Separate your feet nice and wide apart, about outer hip width apart. Bring both your heels over to the left. Option to keep both elbows on the floor, or bring your right hand onto your right hip. You can flatten your left hand down to the floor to help you with a bit more stability and push down through your thumb. Do press this bottom shoulder, this left shoulder towards your feet. Pick your hips up a little bit more. Not necessarily easier, but we are saving the wrists here, saving the wrists from getting tired and possibly tweaking them a little bit. 2, 1. Now bring the right elbow down to the floor, palms together. Stay like this. Or both heels go to the right. Bring that left hand onto your left hip. Both shoulders again, really pressing away from your ears towards your feet. This top hand can come up if you want. 3, pick your hips up away from the floor. 2, really lift that side waist up. 1, bring your hand down, back to forearm plank. Bring your knees down to the floor. Come all the way down. Bring your hands again to the floor beside your hips, beside your legs, palms down. Now this time, bend both of your knees. Separate all of your toes. Pick your hands up off the floor and turn your thumbs down. Now even here, smooth down the lower ribs and draw your navel up to your spine. Press your legs towards each other. Then pick your thighs up off the floor if possible. If not, then keep them down, but keep rising them up towards the ceiling as best you can. And reach around for the fronts of your ankles. When you found them, if you find them, if you don't worry, just keep your hands reaching. Pick your thighs up, push your feet back so that you come into bow pose. Keep pushing your feet back. Now, even though your abdominal muscles here are lengthening, keep them toned. Keep smoothing the lower ribs down. Lift your lower belly up towards your chest. And then release your feet. Come into downward facing dog again. Hands by your ribs. Push the floor away and press back. Now, if you can't hold these poses for as long as I am, or you can't hold them as deeply as I am, that's okay, but keep coming back to the class and you'll find over time, and it won't take that long, that things get easier and easier. Come forward into plank. Now, I'm going to do one more side plank, and you've got the option here, if your wrists feel okay, walk your hands just a little further forward towards the front of the mat, but if not, you can come down onto your elbows as we did before. Separate your feet to outer hip width apart. Bring both of your heels over to the left. Bring your top hand onto your hip if you want, or you can keep it down. Now, options for the legs here. You can step your right foot on top of your left, or you could even hover it up off the floor. Top hand comes up, possibly. 3, keep your hips up. 2, 1, bring your foot down if it was up. Go straight to the other side. So if you're on your forearms, rearrange, and then spin both your heels over to the right. Press both shoulders towards your feet, whatever you're doing. And again, you can do this sort of windscreen wiper shape with your feet, or stack your feet, or pick that that top foot up off the floor. 3, whatever you're doing, keep breathing. 2, 1. Now come into downward facing dog. So go back to plank first, and then walk your hands back, your feet a little more forward as necessary. Take a couple of breaths. It's hard work, this core stuff, right? But well worth doing it again and again, and you'll be surprised at how quickly you strengthen and your body adapts. Bring your knees down. Come into child's pose. So big toes touch side by side, toenails on the floor. Sit down onto your heels as best you can. Walk your hands forward. Stretch your arms straight and bring your forehead to the floor. And try and ease your shoulders, let them relax. Let your shoulder blades move towards your hands and then soften. So your elbows are straight, your arms are strong, but only as much as you need to keep the basic shape. Everything else is kind of soothing and relaxing out. Now raise your head off the floor, walk your hands back towards your knees, and sit onto your bottom here. We're just going to do a lying down twist. So bring your elbows to the floor, bring your back down, your shoulders, your head down, pull out ponytail as needed, and cross your right leg over your left. So in our first class, in the class day 1 in our challenge, we did eagle pose. So this is a little bit like eagle pose, except don't tuck your foot behind your calf. So your right leg is over your left, pick your bottom up, move your bottom a good 10 centimeters to the right, and then drop your knees over to the left. Pick your feet up enough for you to be able to tuck them up towards your bottom. And bring your right arm around the side of your head if you've got that mobility in your shoulder. If not, then just bring your arms both down by the sides of your body as if you were in Shavasana, which we're going to do next. So you can open up the right side of your chest by moving your arm around the side of your head if you want. You can press your top hip away from you to get a bit more length in the side of your body here. The muscles, the oblique muscles on the side of your body here have just been working really hard, as obviously the rest of your abdominal muscles. So let them relax and open here in this twist. And then come to the other side. So pick your knees up, uncross the right leg, bring both feet to the floor. Shift your bottom to the middle and then over to the left a little bit more. Cross your left leg over your right and drop your knees down to the right. Kind of maneuver yourself around a little bit in this pose so you feel like your upper back is on the floor as much as possible. The left shoulder is down as much as possible. Tuck your feet up. Draw your knees up towards your right hand to the extent that suits you. And then breathe deeply, particularly into the left side of your body, encouraging the left side of all the muscles in your abdominal cavity here to lengthen, release, and soften. Smooth, deep breathing. Breathing with purpose. So even though breath is involuntary, it is also voluntary. You can breathe in your sleep, you don't have to think about it, but you can also control how you breathe. So take the steering wheel here, so to speak, and breathe deeply and smoothly. And coming out of the twist, bring your knees up, uncross that left leg. Both of your feet come to the floor. Now coming to some pranayama work. We did a little bit in our day one, but we're going to take it a little bit further this time. Keep your feet on the floor and keep your knees bent. Turn your palms up. Press your elbows down so you draw your shoulder blades a little closer to each other. We're going to breathe in and out to the count of 4. Always in and out through the nose, unless you have a bad cold. Finish this exhalation and then breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 more rounds like this. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 4, 3. Close your eyes if you want to. 2, 1. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 4, 3, 2, 1. And do a couple more rounds like that in your own time. When you finish that final exhalation, come to Shavasana. Lengthen your legs long down the mat one by one. And find a comfortable position where you feel symmetrically placed. Your arms and legs are an equal distance away from the midline of your body. Please do stay here. This is a very important pose. Just 1 minute of rest. Let your body feel held. Notice where your body is in contact with the ground, from your heels to your calves, your bottom, your lower back, upper back, shoulders, arms, hands, head. And see if under all those points you can soften down a little bit more. Let yourself be held. Soften down into the holding. Receive the strength of the earth with trust. Now slowly bend your knees, one leg at a time, bringing the soles of your feet to the floor. Roll over to your right side. And as we did yesterday, just spend a moment here noticing how you feel in your body, the quality of your thoughts, your attention, and how you feel having done that pretty strong practice. Then push down with your left hand, then your right hand to bring yourself up to sit. And sit tall, sit with confidence. Knit in those lower ribs. Keep your abdominal muscles toned and strong so you can stretch your spine. Press the crown of your head up to the ceiling. Close your eyes. Now bring your hands into your heart and lower your chin so it touches your fingertips. Release your hands, bring your palms down onto your knees. Press down. Raise your chin. Open your eyes. Namaste. If you missed day 1 of the challenge, here it is. If you've got some energy left, do that, or save it to do later today or tomorrow. And do remember to subscribe. And thank you very much for practicing with me. Take care. I hope the rest of your day goes really well.